going to review a model here that's quite common, particularly for new users using ducts. You can see here that because a duct is present in the model, we go to the fourth meshing attempt. We do not do the first and second or third. So that means that there's going to be less cleanup in the mesh, and the responsibility is on the behalf of the user to make sure there's no small gaps or other issues, alignments issues with the model. Otherwise, it will have trouble in meshing. You can see here that it's complaining about location of outlet on the crack. It must be located on the cabinet boundary. So the crack outlets are having some issues, and it's a mesh problem. So it did not pass meshing. File is not generated. Process is stopped. It's a meshing issue. So that's the error message we received on this one. Let's take a look at the model. So there's a couple of things that I can notice about this model right away. First of all, the user has used connecting ducts, and you can tell because they're black, but the user has also got crack extensions turned on. And the overlapping of the crack extension with the duct will cause a error, and you can see it's on the outside. It's on the output side of the cooling units, and that's going to be a problem. So to fix that, we just right mouse click on the duct designer, and this user interface popped up on my other display. Fairly easy to fix. You just unconnect the duct and drag it back up like this, so it's up out of the way. Do the same thing to the second one. Just disconnect it and pull it back up. And now let's go to these units and turn off the crack extensions. I don't know why the user has them on. They don't need to be on. They should not be on. So turn off the plenum extension. Okay. So sometimes you have to toggle that to get it to go off. There it goes. Okay. So that one's off. And here's the other one. We want to go to the Geometry tab, scroll down, plenum extension. We want that off. It will do that funny thing first, then switch it off, and now it's off. Okay. So you have to toggle it. Now let's go back to our duct interface, and we can reconnect the ducts. We did that one. Go to this one, reconnect, boom. Okay, so we've solved that problem. Now there's a couple other problems I can see in this model. For one thing, the user has created an upflow cooling system, which is fine, but they've done it on a raised floor data center. And this is an isolated volume down here. So the entire subfloor is isolated from the above floor. This floor does not leak. And so the pressure cannot be calculated across that surface, and the model will fail because of that. Isolated volumes are one of the key reasons why, and really one of the 2 or 3 reasons why models fail in Solve, because they're isolated. Now if you look, isolated volume in the ceiling as well. So this user should have created this on a non-raised floor data center without a ceiling return plenum. But you can see what they did here is they created, let me just drag over the user interface here so that we can have a look at it. The user created a raised floor data center with a ceiling plenum. I don't know why they did that. They really wanted a non-raised floor data center without a ceiling plenum. Now the problem is if I flip these switches now, it's going to mess this model up pretty good. So a way around that is to leave the model the way it is and just put a little tiny hole in the floor with a cable grill. You only need one, doesn't have to be much, and put a little tiny ceiling grill in place. Now the ceiling grills are actually end up being 4x4, I think. We don't need it 4x4. I mean, it just has to be there. It doesn't have to be very big. So we'll make it 1x1, and there you go. And now that model should run fine. The only other thing to check is make sure your units are up off the floor, because, oh well, look, in this case, the user has this unit sitting on the floor. It's at a start Y of 0, and it's trying to pull air out of a floor that has no inlet to the floor. So that looks like it's a mistake. These are up off the floor, so what I would do is make them all the same height. You can do that by selecting this one. use your control key selected. This one, put your key over the one, your cursor over the one you want to hold constant, do a right mouse click, and align to, in this case, Y min. And that'll lift that one up off the floor. And now we have both units off the floor so they can pull air in underneath them. This one doesn't have to pull it out of the floor. We've got a hole in the floor so that it will allow some pressure to be calculated across that boundary. We have a hole in the ceiling. There's outlets on the grills. There's the inlets. We fixed the problem over here with the return plenum, and that model will now run. Thank you.